You know by now that we're all about the journey. June's journey, that is. I feel this game was made for us specifically. It's the closest I've come to feeling like I've been dropped in the middle of a mystery novel set in the 1920s.
That's because you get to play as June, a globe-trotting flapper/amateur sleuth who lives to solve mysteries. You get to visit all sorts of fascinating places, from Paris to Cuba. You beat levels by identifying hidden objects in the scene. And we found that the more we play, the sharper our observational skills become.
The game is delightful, and a wonderful way to relax. I'll often pull my phone out and play it when I've got a free moment, like I'm on hold with an archive, or I'm waiting for a courthouse to open up in the morning. I'm currently on Chapter 16, meaning I'm searching for the son of June's housekeeper, who's on the run from New Orleans gamblers and the police. It's a wild time.
We know our audience is filled with folks who love a good mystery. Now is your chance to try your hand at being a sleuth yourself. Discover your inner detective when you download June's Journey for free today on iOS and Android. Content warning. This episode contains discussion of addiction.
Judge Francis, or Fran Gull, has led a long and productive career in Indiana's Allen County. In our previous 2 episodes, we've talked all about that. We got into her start as a prosecutor. We talked about some of her most high-profile cases as a judge. Today, we're going to actually give you a glimpse of another side of her role in the courtroom. We spent an afternoon watching her preside over cases, and we'll be talking about our observations in this episode.
While we are all awaiting future developments in the ongoing case against Richard Allen, we feel that one way for us all to better understand what's going on, and what may happen in the future, would be to take a close look at the principals in the legal case. Defense attorneys Brad Rozzi and Andy Baldwin, prosecutor Nicholas McLeland, and of course, Judge Fran Gull. We've previously covered the careers of the 2 defense attorneys. Today, we'll be turning our eyes towards the bench. We want to get a better view of the judge who's been tasked with steering this case through the legal system.
In this final episode of 3, we'll watch Judge Gull preside over Allen County's drug court. This is a role she has served in for decades, and observing her in action at court gave us a whole new perspective on her tenure as a judge. My name is Anya Kane. I'm a journalist.
And I'm Kevin Greenlee. I'm an attorney.
We first connected while looking into the Burger Chef murders, an Indiana cold case. Together, we built a spreadsheet documenting hundreds of cases of restaurant-related homicides. That original spreadsheet gave way to our podcast, The Murder Sheet.
Now we maintain that same research-centric, investigative approach as we look into all sorts of homicides, including unsolved cases, historical crimes, and, of course, restaurant murders.
We don't just chat about the headlines. Our podcast is a platform for our journalism. The Murder Sheet focuses on investigative reporting, thoughtful analysis, thorough research, and in-depth interviews.
We're the Murder Sheet.
And this is The Delphi Murders, the Honorable Judge Fran Gull Presiding, Part 3, Fishbowl Moments.
Judge Gull presides over the Allen Superior Court Drug Court Program. In fact, this drug court is intrinsically linked to her tenure. It launched around the same time that she took to the bench. In 1997, Susan Vila of the Fort Wayne News-Sentinel wrote a feature story on the then brand new drug court. According to her article, 3 judges were involved from the beginning: Kenneth Scheibenberger, John Surbeck, and Fran Gull. Judge Scheibenberger is largely considered the grandfather of the program. His own battle with alcoholism played out in the public sphere. Back in the 90s, the judge was inspired by the success of drug courts out of Miami, Florida, and started to set up something similar in Fort Wayne.
The goal was to unburden a court system clogged with non-violent offenders dealing with addictions. The general idea was simple: get them into the Allen Superior Court drug court program, help them receive treatment, and put a stop to their slide into a life of misery and crime. In the long run, reduce the county's overall problem with drug-fueled criminal activity, thus ensuring a safer community and less tax dollars spent on addressing rising crime.
Back when drug court began in 1997, it was not inevitable that it would last. The Fort Wayne News Sentinel article noted that the program began with 30 offenders and 1 employee. The judges were aiming to get a $400,000 federal grant to allow them to continue operating for 2 years beyond the 3-year pilot program. Well, they ended up succeeding in that effort. And now the court is funded through a combination of fees from participants, tax dollars, and a fund that is fueled by grants.
Today, drug court is set up to serve those who misuse both drugs and alcohol. It is under the criminal division of the county's courts. According to the county's own website, it is a, quote, freestanding, problem-solving court program that promotes abstinence, recovery, lasting change, and community safety through a coordinated response to offenders who abuse and or meet criteria for a substance use disorder of alcohol and or other drugs.
So how does it work? Well, to begin, the Allen Superior Court, Allen Circuit Court, Allen County Adult Probation, and courts from surrounding counties refer or transfer cases to the drug court. Now, that's a decision that also involves input from prosecutors and defense attorneys. It's a 3-phase process, all based on different goals tailored to each participant. Oftentimes, that involves procedures like random chemical testing, individual counseling, 12-step programs, support groups, and inpatient stays at recovery facilities, in addition to other measures like parenting classes and high school equivalency programs. Most remain in the program for 12 to 18 months. Prosecutors, defense attorneys, caseworkers, and more participate. It's an endeavor structured around rehabilitation and not punishment.
Judge Gull took over the program in 2002. In 2018, the Associated Press reported on her remarks about a graduating class of drug court participants. Many of them have gone through cycle after cycle of addiction, she said. They have worked tremendously hard.
Now, Judge Gull's experience with drug court does not ensure that she goes easy on offenders who have committed serious crimes just because they happen to deal with substance abuse issues. In 2005, she took on the case of Michael Scott, a man who spent an entire day smoking crack before brutally murdering his halfway house roommate, John Miller, with an axe. Scott had been through 14 treatment programs from 1992 to 2004. Judge Gull sentenced him to 118 years, the maximum.
Nothing has been able to curb your behavior, Mr. Scott, she said, according to the press.
In another 2005 case, Christopher P. Lawrenson pled guilty to driving while high on cocaine. In the crash he subsequently caused, he injured his 2 sons and killed his 9-year-old daughter, Brittany. The AP described how Brittany's grandfather, Dale Anderson, handed over a packet of photos of Brittany to the judge. The grandfather also made it known that he felt Lawrenson's 4-year prison term was far too light.
I agree with Mr. Anderson, Gull said. You are getting off extremely light for killing your daughter and hurting your boys.
She ordered the photos of Brittany to be posted in Lawrenson's cell for the duration of his term. But for the offenders who want to change their behavior before committing a life-destroying crime, there's drug court.
Now, despite the fact that substance abuse plays a huge role in many crimes, this isn't the sort of thing you hear about on most true crime podcasts. That is largely because true crime media tends to be unilaterally focused on homicides. Specifically, famous cases of homicide that lend themselves to an interesting narrative. But that's not what most crime looks like in the United States. In fact, criminal justice systems often find themselves rather strained in areas where drug and alcohol addictions are common. Dealing with people in the grips of an addiction is neither easy nor glamorous.
But Allen County's drug court has gotten results. To date, over 1,000 people have successfully completed the program, walking away clean and sober. According to INSession, the Allen County Superior Court's own podcast, the program has a successful completion rate of around 42%. Out of those successful graduates, 78% do not reoffend within 3 years after graduation. That's a metric that's made all the more impressive because it even includes arrests, not just charges or convictions.
That's a tremendous impact on the lives of those people and everyone close to them. It's a big deal for this community.
We imagine that for Judge Gull and the other professionals working in Allen County's drug court, seeing these graduates makes the effort worth it. We saw her preside over a recent session of drug court. We spent an entire afternoon getting a better sense of the program and getting to see a different side of Judge Gull. And now we will get into that experience.
HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit for a reason. HelloFresh really wants you to have it all. Free time and fresh, tasty food. That's why they take care of all the meal planning and deliver the ingredients so everything you need to whip up a delicious meal arrives right to your door. We love the convenience of getting high-quality, pre-measured ingredients shipped right to our door so we can have the fun of cooking meals together in the kitchen without the pressure of worrying about whether or not we have all the items we need.
And let me stress that when we say high-quality ingredients, we really mean it. The last time I was in the grocery store, some of the produce I saw looked like it had been sitting out for weeks. And that is frustrating because this is the peak time for summer produce. Well, HelloFresh makes sure that their ingredients travel from the farm to your front door in less than 7 days. And when something is that fresh, it simply tastes better.
This is another great reason to try out HelloFresh. And remember, Murder Sheet listeners get a special discount.
Go to HelloFresh.com/MSheet50 and use code MSheet50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/MSheet50 and use code MSheet50 for 50% off plus free shipping. Find out why HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit.
We are so delighted to work with our sponsor, Brilliant Earth. This is a company that offers some of the most brilliant and romantic engagement rings and wedding bands out there, all the while ensuring a commitment to ethical sourcing and sustainability.
If you're looking to get married or to become engaged, or even if you're just searching for a special piece of fine jewelry, you have to check out their website. They make browsing so easy.
They even let you design your own perfect engagement ring. Or you can shop by style. I love the delicate willow rings, along with the 3-stone Nadia rings and the classic freesia rings. It's so hard to choose.
And you don't have to worry about the ethical implications of your purchase. Your special gift, your engagement ring, your wedding band, should never be tarnished by the idea that the gems or materials came from an abusive system.
See, Brilliant Earth has a commitment to beyond conflict-free diamonds. That means one thing. They only accept diamonds from mining operations in countries that strictly follow international labor, trade, and environmental standards. Fewer than 1% of other diamond suppliers meet Brilliant Earth standards.
You can feel good about your purchase, knowing that you're supporting a brand that actually cares about its ethical impact and is committed to fostering better standards in the jewelry business.
Check out all of their beautiful pieces at brilliantearth.com. That's brilliantearth.com. When we showed up in Fort Wayne, it was a slightly overcast spring day. Neither of us had ever been to the Allen County Courthouse before, so we spent a few minutes wandering around the large Beaux Arts structure, complete with a statue of Lady Liberty standing atop the building's huge dome. On the outside, it is an impressive sight. It first opened in 1902 and was designed by Brentwood S. Tolan, an architect also known for designing the courthouses in the counties of Whitley and LaPorte, and also helping his father with planning the courthouses in the counties of LaGrange, Kosciuszko, and Park.
Once we were done with our walk, we went and locked our phones in the car. Then we passed through security uneventfully. After getting through the metal detectors, we met with John McGauley, the court executive for Allen County Superior Court. He's a former news reporter who's also previously served as the county's recorder, and he was kind enough to give us a quick tour of the building once he found out we were very much interested.
To be honest, we were so awestruck upon walking inside that we kind of blanked on some of our initial questions for John. I recall we just got kind of quiet and started craning our necks to stare up at the ceiling.
There was a good reason for that, other than the fact that both of us can be kind of awkward people sometimes.
Yes, the inside of the Allen County Courthouse is breathtaking. I don't feel like we can really do it justice on this podcast. In a previous episode, we included a quote that Judge Gull gave to the Associated Press. To paraphrase, she was talking about how courthouses are temples of justice. Well, the inside of the Allen County Courthouse looks like a combination of an ancient temple, a Gothic church, and an opulent palace. It's beautiful. Hovering 110 feet over the central rotunda is a stained glass dome secured with steel frames. It's colorful and luminescent and hard to look away from.
The encaustic floor tiles are laid in mesmerizing designs. The ceilings are gilded. Their staircases are carved from white marble. The whole building is decorated in scagliola, which is a type of plaster that resembles marble. On the arches beneath the dome, the artist Charles Holloway painted a series of large murals. Law and order contrasts with despotism, while war opposes joy and peace.
John told us that a 2022 movie was partially filmed at the courthouse. That was the Haley Duff picture, The Wedding Pact 2, The Baby Pact. Honestly, we tend to think that more courtroom dramas should be shot here. It would be a tremendous backdrop.
John also told us that whenever certain renovations are needed, the county needs to bring in specific craftsmen from Italy. But one nice thing about these preservation efforts is they've allowed the building to become an event venue. Courthouse weddings don't have the most romantic reputation, but having one in Allen County would be quite a different experience. If you're in the area, you should check it out at some point for a tour.
Anyways, all that is to say that Allen County is clearly a place that cares about preserving its history and civic pride. Even beyond the murals and stairwells, each courtroom is different and ornate. After our tour, we headed to the one where drug court was about to get underway. It had a dome of stained glass in the ceiling. There were all sorts of bas-reliefs and mahogany woodworkings. The walls were a cool green and left me feeling like we had surfaced in some secret underwater grotto.
Before we get into the details of the goings-on at drug court, we'll just note that we're not going to get into the names or descriptions of anyone participating in drug court. This hearing was open to the public, but we want to respect people's privacy during their journeys to sobriety. Plus, we were only there to observe Judge Gull's work.
There were a few rows of chairs and a decent group of people already seated in the public section, waiting. We sat off the center aisle. Past the rail, in the well of the court, Judge Gull was seated at the bench.
At tables set up, there were other professionals. We imagined they were caseworkers, those associated with the probation office, and other court workers. Attorneys and law enforcement officers would occasionally walk in and out too. Deputies moved through the courtroom, escorting inmates from the jail. These men and women, clad in uniforms of navy, brown, and orange, often chained together, would clink past and then sit in what looked like the jury box until they were ready to be transported away again. These incarcerated individuals, with some exceptions, seemed to be people new to drug court who were looking to potentially be introduced to the program.
At the rail, along the central aisle, somebody had set up a microphone. There was also a clear fishbowl-type receptacle with pieces of paper inside.
We were really surprised when the session got underway. A man headed over and stood by the mic. Judge Gull walked up to greet him. She was beaming. She talked to him one-on-one, telling him she was proud of him. He had reached a milestone in his recovery. Everyone, people in the public seats and those in the well of the court, began clapping. We did not catch the specifics of his accomplishment, but it was about meeting a drug court milestone. We were sort of shocked. You do not hear a lot of applause in courtrooms.
The proceedings from there mostly involved individuals coming up to the microphone. Judge Gull addressed each one with specific knowledge about their situation. For those who achieved milestones, she would walk away from the bench and come greet them specifically.
We also quickly learned the meaning of the mysterious fishbowl. Judge Gull would often proclaim a milestone, like finding a verified sponsor or coming back clean on a certain number of drug tests, to be a fishbowl moment. Those who achieved these fishbowl moments would then get to select a piece of paper from the container. They would then win whatever was written down on that slip of paper, which could be anything from a daily prize to fee waivers. The idea seems to be to give those working hard in drug court some positive incentives, in addition to praise.
But, as anyone who has either kicked an addiction themselves or supported another person in recovery, it's not all about positive reinforcement. It's also about accountability.
That's something that Judge Gull offered to a number of the participants we saw. One man came in and claimed that he could not account for why he blew a drug test. He had a whole song and dance about how he was not minimizing what happened, but he wasn't using, and that someone must have put something into his meal.
Judge Gull wasn't having any of it. She said that she was, quote, tired of people claiming their food or drink was spiked, like someone has plenty of meth lying around and sprinkles it in someone's food or drink. It was an intense exchange, but it seemed absolutely necessary. The guy's excuses were frankly utterly ridiculous. And any recovery program that's not based on an honest inventory of one's mistakes is unlikely to succeed.
The judge confronted a different participant who had gotten into trouble at his rehabilitation facility for his, quote, crappy attitude. Stop the nonsense, she told one man who had been kicked out of his housing for rule breaking. To still another who ran into trouble with his curfew, she said, stop acting like a fool, because that is what you're doing. She wasn't overly harsh in our view. These were instances when participants were getting close to potentially getting tossed out of drug court altogether. The confrontation seemed necessary. In one other instance, where a participant had blown a drug test due to medicine that his physician had prescribed him, Judge Gull was much more understanding. She was able to look into the nuances of that situation and realized that the mix-up had not been the fault of the participant.
To participants struggling with aspects of the program, Judge Gull offered words of advice. One man's girlfriend was calling his recovery residence at all hours. He had also missed a scheduled appointment related to drug court. Judge Gull advised him to set boundaries and stay in his lane. To one woman who talked about declining to hang out with friends who were still using, Judge Gull offered approval and praise.
For another participant who seemed to be running into a wall as far as effort went, she assigned an essay in lieu of punitive measures. She asked him to write about what he was grateful for. In an exchange with a woman who was starting to thrive in the program, Judge Gull wanted to know what was working for her.
You've been doing great. So what made it click? She asked.
The woman said that she had undergone a short stint in jail after struggling earlier in the program. That had been a wake-up call.
Judge Gull replied that experience, quote, made you realize you are worth it.
For some who had made a mistake but took accountability, Judge Gull offered her trust.
You're a smart man, she said to one drug court participant. I trust you at your word. If you say you can do better and will do better, I trust you.
She also gave real encouragement to those who were succeeding.
I'm really happy for you, she told one participant. You impress and surprise me all the time.
Another participant earned a fishbowl moment from achieving a number of consecutive negative drug tests.
You're making it look easy, Judge Gull said. Is it easy?
Again and again, Judge Gull took the time to tell these people in the program that they impressed her, that she admired them. To one participant, she said, I appreciate the time you're taking to make yourself a better man.
For one man's fishbowl moment, she approached the rail and said, I know it's not easy for a type A person like you to be in a program and listen to people. You know what it takes to be a success. I'm proud of you.
After a few hours of these interactions, the courtroom emptied out. We were the last two people remaining in the public seating when Judge Gull proclaimed, that's a wrap. One of the defense attorneys looked out at us and asked if we were there for anyone in particular. We demurred and headed out. I was amazed by how much ground was covered over the course of one session. We went through dozens of cases, but this was not some sort of assembly line process. It was highly personal. Judge Gull seemed to be able to recognize and converse with each individual. She knew their names. She not only knew their names, but she knew their stories. She addressed them with dignity and without distance, foregoing legalese and the extreme formality that dictate most courtroom interactions. Her conversations with these drug court participants were casual. She remembered these participants' family members and jobs and life events. She asked how they were feeling, how their recovery was going, and she celebrated their successes.
I've mentioned on this program that I'm a recovering alcoholic myself. I'm lucky to have never run into legal trouble over that, but I do understand what it's like to have your life hollowed out by an addiction. I feel that the expressions of trust and consideration that Judge Gull extended to these drug court participants were quite meaningful. Some of these people likely have very strong support systems. Others may not. It may have been quite a while since some of them heard that anyone trusted or admired them. It was really nice to see.
Drug court seems to be very much a part of offering them a sense of community, accountability, and support. Judge Gull has actually spoken publicly about drug court a number of times. She seems incredibly proud of the program. In the session we observed, she told one of the jail inmates entering into the program, "You're coming into one of the best drug courts in the state."
The most in-depth interview was with INSession. Judge Gull told the podcast that the Allen County Drug Court has an impact miles and miles away from the city limits of Fort Wayne. She revealed that the Allen County Drug Court officials have helped to mentor other drug court officials in Indiana and Ohio. We have permission to play a snippet from the show, and we'd strongly recommend listening to the whole episode. We'll link to INSession in our show notes. The entire podcast is a cool in-depth look at the inner workings of an Indiana court. And as a reminder, we did not interview Judge Gull for our program. We have not talked to her. This is an existing interview from INSession.
I think when I look at our clients graduating and trying to look into their heart and their mind, I see hope. I see so much hope in them. We hear from the mom of the daughter who was near death, and the mom tells us as a team, "Thank you for giving me back my daughter. Thank you for the life of my son." And I look at them when they thank us for that, and I'm like, don't thank me. We didn't do anything other than create expectations. And I tell clients all the time, I have high expectations because I expect a lot from you. If I didn't expect anything from you, you would be doing the same crappy things you've been doing. So I see a lot of hope on their faces that they've completed something, but more importantly, they got their life back. They got their family back. They got their children back. They got their dignity back. So I see a lot of hope. I see a lot of joy. I see a lot of pride. And it's the best thing I get to do as a judge is preside over a graduation.
Now, Judge Gull would be the first to say that there is more to her life than what happens in the courtroom. She's a gardener who in another life might have wanted to run a farm-to-table restaurant. She is active in her church. She volunteers with Honor Flight, a charity that seeks to allow United States veterans to visit the monuments in Washington, D.C. She even shared some of her work-life balance tips with the Indiana lawyer.
Prioritize your family over your work. While work and careers are important since they do pay the bills, work should not define who you are as a person. You mustn't let your work consume you. Always make time to appreciate your family and keep your friends close to you. I define myself as a wife, mother, sister, friend, and judge.
We definitely understand that, but one little detail stuck with us as we left the Allen County Courthouse. One that we feel demonstrates just how much drug court and her legal work mean to her.
In a quiet moment during the court session, Judge Gull spoke to a participant about sitting at home in the evening, putting together the papers to stock the Fishbowl. She noted that her dogs were often confused by this activity and would look at her like, "What are you doing, lady?"
But we understand what she was doing, of course, And we understand why Judge Gull is so dedicated to putting those slips together, even to the point where she takes time away from her evenings to do so. The level of care that she puts into the drug court program was apparent to us in the session we went to. And each of those little slips of paper means something to her and to all of those in the drug court.
For so many people suffering from addiction in the Fort Wayne community, they symbolize a step on the path to recovery. They offer a chance to turn things around. Those fishbowl moments represent hope for the future.
Thanks to John for the terrific tour. We want to encourage you all to check out the podcast he hosts for the Allen County Superior Court, INSession. It's a really interesting listen, and we'll link to it in our show notes.
Our coverage of Judge Gull's career relied extensively on reporting from journalists on the ground. The Associated Press included lots of in-depth coverage of the Allen County court system, so we drew from that extensively. So did Fort Wayne's Journal-Gazette. And we'll link to the profile on Judge Gull that ran in the Indiana Lawyer.
We also relied on reporting that appeared in the following publications. We'll read out their names and locations to avoid confusion.
The Bedford Times-Mail.
The Columbus Republic.
The Evansville Courier and Press.
The Franklin Daily Journal.
The Greenfield Daily Reporter.
The Indianapolis News.
The Indianapolis Star.
The Jasper Herald.
The Kokomo Tribune.
The Lafayette Journal and Courier.
The Logansport Pharos Tribune.
Love and Greed in the Heartland. The Richmond Hill Murders. A nonfiction book by Robert L. Snow and Russ McQuaid.
The Martinsville Reporter Times.
The Muncie Star Press.
The Munster Times.
The Noblesville Ledger.
The Richmond Palladium Item.
The Seymour Tribune.
The South Bend Tribune.
The Tipton County Tribune.
Valparaiso University School of Law's Alumni News Magazine.
Valparaiso University School of Law's The Amicus.
The Vidette Messenger of Porter County.
The Vincennes Sun Commercial. Thanks so much for listening to The Murder Sheet. If you have a tip concerning one of the cases we cover, please email us at murdersheet@gmail.com. If you have actionable information about an unsolved crime, please report it to the appropriate authorities.
If you're interested in joining our Patreon, that's available at www.patreon.com/murdersheet. If you want to tip us a bit of money for records requests, you can do so at www.buymeacoffee.com/murdersheet. We very much appreciate any support.
Special thanks to Kevin Tyler Greenlee, who composed the music for The Murder Sheet, and who you can find on the web at kevintg.com.
If you're looking to talk with other listeners about a case we've covered, you can join the Murder Sheet discussion group on Facebook. We mostly focus our time on research and reporting, so we're not on social media much. We do try to check our email account, but we ask for patience as we often receive a lot of messages. Thanks again for listening. Hello, Murder Sheet listeners. Thank you so much for sticking with us until the very end. Just wanted to take a moment as we close out to thank our sponsor, HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. They are #1 for a reason, folks. Kevin and I have been loving the meals we're getting from HelloFresh. We're talking farm fresh produce, protein, all sorts of customizable options to get you exactly what you and your family need. It's very delicious, it's very nutritious, and it's quite affordable. So it ticks off all our boxes. We've been very happy with the service. And, would love for you guys to try it out if you're curious, or if you've tried it out in the past and enjoyed it, get that discount. It's hellofresh.com/msheet16. And then you're going to plug in the code MSheet16. You get 16 free meals plus free shipping. You can't beat that. We've really been delighted by it. We work very hard on the podcast. It takes up a lot of time. It's our small business. We really enjoy the work. We enjoy conversing with all of you every week. But at the same time, it's nice for Kevin and I to kind of have something to do outside of office hours. And cooking these meals has been really fun. We're terrible in the kitchen, like disastrous. I mean, like I can tell you horror stories. I probably shouldn't get into it on the podcast, but I mean, some pretty some pretty disastrous moments involving our cooking. Nothing life-threatening, but definitely stuff that we tried to be overly ambitious about. And it either went horribly wrong or it ended up costing like way more than it should have because we didn't properly like think about ingredients. And we're not gifted in the realm of the kitchen, but HelloFresh makes us pretend like we are because everything is so pre-portioned and pre-planned and the instructions are super clear. So like, you're not going to mess it up if you're like us. And if you're good in the kitchen, then it's just less of a hassle and you get everything that you need. You don't have to run out to the grocery store. So super nice. Try it out. I've really enjoyed the meals that they've sent us so far. I can say that Kevin has too. I highlight that because Kevin is pretty picky when it comes to food. He does not like everything. He has pretty strong specifications and preferences. Very much cares about things like fresh produce and farm produce and things like that. So he's very picky. And I think the fact that he is really enjoying HelloFresh is a testament to the quality here because he's a stickler for that kind of thing. And so if you are, I think you will enjoy it as well. And again, the URL and promo code that'll get you a sweet discount is hellofresh.com/msheet16. That's MSHEET 16. And use code MSHEET16. You're going to get 16 free meals plus free shipping. We hope you enjoy it. And again, thank you so